I'm Denise Gagne, and if you've been following Musicplay or Musicplay online, you've probably seen a few of my videos this year. There's been lots of them, and I am so happy to have here today my good friend Artie Almeida. Artie has been teaching long time, and Artie has written some of the most wonderful teaching resources that you will ever use. And also with us, give us a wave, Maury. Maury Schay.
Maury.
I don't have your book right here. I'm going to have to zip out and get it. Maury also has a wealth of resources published by Lorenz. And are you still Activate editor, Maury?
I am still the Activate editor.
Still the Activate editor. So we have some movers and shakers in the room today. So this is a meet and greet, and we thought we'd start off with Artie. And Artie, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you got there.
Well, greetings, everybody. I bring you greetings from beautiful, sunny Orlando, Florida. And I'm thrilled that we're going to be talking about the 12th annual Artie and Denise. We're so glad to have it work out. We wish we were going to be in person. We could hug next, but hopefully that will come soon. We really loved the online experience last year, and we're glad with all the people that joined us. I'm grateful that 12 years ago, Denise came up with this idea. She came to Orlando and asked me to have lunch, and took my husband, and she said, I've got a wild idea. I want us to do a clinic together. And I thought, well, that's fun, but not very wild. And she said, on a cruise ship. And I was like, oh, okay, now we're talking wild. And I'm up for that. And we had a nice group of teachers, that original group of teachers, some who still come every year to the clinic. And on the days that we weren't teaching, they went on shore trips and swimming with the dolphins and the rays and all that good stuff you do down in the Caribbean. So anyhow, I was glad that she invited me along for the ride, and who knew 12 years from now, we would still be doing this. I thought maybe that was a one-off, and I'm glad that I was wrong. Really thrilled today that we have Maury here with us. I read her newest book last summer and wished to heck I had known all that amazing info during my early years of teaching. She's a deep thinker. She gets kids, and her clear writing will help you think about all the pieces and parts of being an excellent elementary music educator. She'll be joining us here today, and we're glad to have her spend some time telling us about herself and a little bit about her session and anything she wants to talk about. We're glad to get to see Maury face to face and get to know her. In response to some questions, each year when we do our clinics live, there's always the evening things where you get together with people and you get a ton of questions and you can answer them right there to their face. With the online thing being on a strict schedule and not as much time as we liked for Q&A because we wanted to get a lot of teaching in, I know that a lot of people have sent questions to me, and I thought what I would do is just share them with everybody. So some of these questions came in after this last Artie and Denise, and some of these are questions I've been asked frequently in the past, so I thought I would just address those with everybody here. One of the things that is tough about the elementary world is that we all come from such different backgrounds. You know, if you're a band director, you were probably in band, and choral directors, you were probably in chorus, and same with orchestra and such. But elementary, we all come from such a variety of backgrounds. You know, there's keyboard players, there are string players, there are church music directors. And so it's really an interesting thing. When you go to an elementary clinic, it's hard to know exactly what the focus is going to be. Is it going to be able to meet everybody's needs? Is there going to be something for everybody, et cetera, et cetera? So I thought what I would do is tell you a little bit about my background, because I'm a band person that found my way here sort of by accident. I'm going to spend about 10, 15 minutes with questions. If you have any, jot them down. It might not even take that long. I'm just going to zip through the major points that I've been asked to cover by individuals and some that have come up recurrently in clinics. I'm going to share my background, as our histories certainly inform our classroom teaching, I think. Some topics that I'll be focusing on for the upcoming symposium I'll talk about with you. I'm going to give you a short description of my approach to classroom behavior issues. I'm going to offer some thoughts on how I tried to keep my instruction fresh every year for 37 years. I've been retired now for 4 or 5 years and just traveling around the world teaching teachers and subbing for some of my old interns. Boy, that's a trip. If any of you have subbed, you know what I'm talking about. And of course, in the pandemic year, I've been able to sit at home and think about my craft, but not go out and practice it anywhere. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on my mantra, which is heavy academics delivered joyfully, my whole theme in life. If you want, I can highlight a few of my publications and what they can provide to pre-K through 5th grade teachers. of music, and any questions you might have about any publications you have and how to put some of those things into action. I'd like to encourage all of you to do what I forgot to do for 37 years. Take lots of pictures and videos of your classes and concerts. Keep all the notes the kids give you. You will hold them close to your heart forever. I saved a lot, but I know that I was not good about that, and probably they're stuck in boxes somewhere, and I want to see those things now, and I don't know where they're at. Write down all the things that work well for you, and write down the things you must jettison forever, and share them with beginning teachers that you have contact with. The collective knowledge and the collective history of our elementary teaching needs to be passed forward, so it's not as painful for some people as it was for those of us who didn't get a preparation that was of value. Okay, my background, I grew up in a singing family. My mom played piano, we all sang. She also played a very diverse selection of recorded music in the house. I had really good ears because I heard everything from diapers on. And I love that. I love that my ears are diverse because of that early exposure. She bought me a guitar in 4th grade, and I sang and played for my Girl Scout troop and on campouts, and I just loved that. I sat on the porch every day and played my guitar and sang, and I wanted to do that forever. Joined band in middle school. I'm a saxophone player. I fell in love with the saxophone player. I still just think it's one of the most amazing instruments on the planet. It offered so many life-changing events for me that drove my musical career. Even from then, I knew that I wanted to spend my life making music. All-state band, all-county band. When I was an adult, I played in the pit orchestra at local theaters, and that was sax, flute, and clarinet. Loved that. Except the saxophone parts were always offensively easy, and the flute and clarinet stuff was horaciously difficult. Let's see, I won a spot in the All-American College Band at Disney one summer, and that was maybe the best gig of my life, except for the heat, because they have polyester costumes. But it was also very nice being in a 22-piece band, and there were only 2 ladies. It was a really fun summer. Okay, I'll leave that topic. I was also a glockenspiel girl in the Disney Christmas parades every year for 7 years. And there was a team of us, 12 girls, that did that every year together. So we were like family, and I still see them sometimes in my travels around the country. 3 of us are elementary music teachers, which is pretty funny because we were all going to be band directors. I competed in the World Saxophone Competition in France in 1979. My college instructor sent 3 of us to do that. And I was way too young. Everybody was college professors, but you know what? I came in slightly above, halfway through the pack of 90 people. So I was very happy with that. And I didn't pass out from fear on the stage. And boy, was it amazing, because my judges were 6 of the most profound teachers of saxophone in the world. Let's see. After I did that competition, however, I realized that practicing 4 to 5 hours a day was really not what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So I decided I will be a band director. I'm a band girl, and I'm going to be a band director. My last year of college, though, at UCF here in Orlando, University of Central Florida, which is the 2nd largest university in the country, I realized that we had to go to a Saturday event where you taught little classes to kids. None of us knew what we were doing, but we had elementary school kids come in on a Saturday, and we'd all teach these little 15 or 20-minute, some musical topic classes, and do stuff with the kids. And I loved working with that age level. I was so satisfied with it, and they laughed at all my corny jokes, and it was just so fun being with those kids. And it was 6 Saturdays in a row. And my professor said, who wants to lead the large group sing? Because at the end, the whole 250 kids would get on the risers there in the gymnasium. We'd all sing together. And I didn't really know that I could lead that. I've been in church choirs and choirs my whole life, but she said, does anybody play guitar? And I said, well, I know 4 chords and I own a capo. Will that do it? And so I stood there in front of those kids playing that guitar and hearing those little voices. And I knew that for the rest of my life, what I wanted to do was make music with children that age. And my band friends were shocked. They were all disappointed. You know, I know you've probably heard it. Well, if you're a really good musician, you should teach at the secondary level, right? Why are the kids at the secondary level really, really good? Probably because they had a really, really good beginning. When brain plasticity tells us the best teaching needs to be the early teaching, because then it's with you forever. So anyhow, they underestimate our little musicians, and but many university music departments too also give elementary aged music instruction short shrift. I had a 5-year degree. I finished it earlier because of some classes, other academics I got to get out of, but 4 years of college classes, and there was only 1 2-hour class that had anything to do with elementary music. And it was taught, usually it's taught often, I shouldn't say usually, Often it's taught by somebody that never taught elementary, but they're another person on faculty there and they cover that 2-hour class. So, you know, I got my 3 or 4 little lessons out of that. And I just thought if it K through 5 accounts for half of our schools, K through 12, K through 5 is half of it, and 1 2-hour class in a 5-year music education degree. So my first year of teaching, I ran out of lesson plans about a month and a half in and was desperate. I was sick to my stomach every weekend, every Saturday and Sunday, dredging around trying to figure out what can I do with these kids. Back then, there were no ORF chapter meetings in my area to attend or anything like that. I'd not heard of CODI. And so it was really moments of terror very frequently. But I just started creating my own stuff, getting together with other teachers in the same boat, and somehow we survived those first few years. I want to tell the classroom, the college kids out there right now, you need 50 or 60 great children's songs, games, dances. You need to be able to modify your teaching vocabulary to explain difficult musical concepts, but in very easily understood terms. I call it kid speak. And I have all sorts of phrases that I've now notated to try and help younger teachers coming in get us to be able to illuminate those harder concepts for the kids, but in kiddie words. From day one, I wanted to make my classroom the most exciting place on campus. I always had some fun and funky decorations and lots of little routines that were just unique to the music room that made it feel like a family atmosphere. And as the kids came in, you know, they knew what was going to happen, or they didn't know everything that was going to happen. They knew were there going to be surprises, but there was also that comfort of the routines and the funny little things that we did together each week. Maybe they'd be coming in. I always had entrance music and exit music. Oftentimes that was front loading for a piece I was going to use for some sort of a lesson. Other times they were just pieces I wanted to stick in the kids' head that I knew that they probably had not wouldn't ever have picked themselves. Usually I had a big music picture of the day up on the screen and they'd be coming in and sitting down, or I'd have every other week I'd have name that musical instrument, and I'd have some bizarre something up there that they didn't know or hadn't seen, or perhaps an ethnic instrument that was different to us. Silly things that I like to do because silly works with little kids. I had a little clacker toy I got actually as a gift. I got this clacker toy that was a Tyrannosaurus Rex from a friend who went to Cracker Barrel and saw this thing and brought it to me. I get these strange gifts from people who know how, I don't know, should I say how odd I am or just how I like to look for the offbeat things. So this little dinosaur, you just click and he'd clack and open his mouth, and we do little rhythm echoes. You know, T-Rex would do the rhythm and they'd clap back or roar back or whatever. And so one day I just went over, I had a bucket, or it was a garbage can of stick horses and painted like a barn. And there were little stick horses and I always had them looking at the door. So when the kids came in, the little horses were looking at them, and I stuck T-Rex in there one day. And the kids all came in and laughed and laughed and laughed. And oh, how funny he is sitting there with it. And so like for the next 2 years, every single week, I moved that dinosaur somewhere different in the classroom. Okay. And usually in a very tough to find place. And so the kids are coming in, the music's playing, the picture's up, they're getting ready to go to their seats, and they're looking, trying to find T-Rex up there somewhere, just little things like that. And that was another thing that just bound them to me and to my music room in a fun and joyful and childlike way. What's really sad is that the year I retired, the last week of school, a 4th grade boy, sweetheart, just a sweetheart, elf on a shelf with a dinosaur. That's funny. This boy was such a sweetheart, and he said to me, Dr. A, was it you moving that dinosaur, or did he move on his own? Now think, this boy's in 4th grade, but we've been doing this since he was in what, 1st grade. And I said, Aaron, I was the one moving him. And he cried. That little boy cried. I was like, oh my God, I should have kept the secret until I left. But that's what I love about teaching little kids. There's still that magic that we can tap into. And just do some real fun childlike things with them. Anyhow, so I had little things like that in the classroom that just made it special and family feeling. We would use group cheers, nothing hard, like the main one we did whenever something good happened in the classroom or at the end of an ensemble performance was. Yes, and the kids would do something cool at the end, some sort of a pose. Simple little things, it pulled us together. It made us feel like family. I had a bucket in the room with a big a poster on it that said "Sweet Sound of Success." And about every other week, I didn't do it every week, but about every other week, I'd have a unique instrument in that little bucket, and the kids couldn't see what it was. It was up on a shelf. on a stand. And when the kids came in, if something happened that was really good, really stellar, or maybe better than we had done before in the class, I'd say, gosh, that was the sweet sound of success to me. And the kid who was sitting at A1 or whatever would go over and pull out the instrument and play it for the class. A vibroslap, a siren whistle that was sterilized, a flexitone, whatever the unusual things that they didn't usually get to play were. And that would be our little pat on our back, a little musical non-pitch percussion pat on the back for doing something well. Little routines like that stood me in good stead. I also, as I planned through the lens of the child. I tried to put myself inside the child. I knew what my goals were. I have my concepts I want to teach. I have my goals I want to reach. I have performances I'm getting ready for or whatever. But when that child comes in, they don't care about any of that stuff. They're coming in, hey, lady, I want to ride the horses. You know, I want to play with that parachute. I want to play the xylophone. So what I tried to do was always look at my lessons through the child's eyes and make sure that there was enough heavy academics in there, but delivered in a way that every one of those kids would not want to leave my room. They'd want to stay there with me all day, and they couldn't wait to get back the next week. I call that heavy academics delivered joyfully. Or my other favorite saying is, where there's passion, there's retention. They come in and they have fun while they're doing it, and their little minds that are so pliable and so ready to soak up so much stuff. And when they walk out, they remember it because it was exciting, it was fun, and it was joyful. I do have some behavior things, and maybe I should put these together into notes. I don't know. If you guys want this, we'll figure out a way that we could post it somewhere for you. My behavior management plan is pretty simple. I call it the 4 Ps. Okay, you need a great plan. And I know as beginning teacher for me, that was maybe my most challenging thing of all, but you need a great plan. You need a variety of activities. And ideally what I wanted to do was sing, move, listen, and play. And you can do that. You can do that. I had 40-minute classes and you can get that in. Sing, move, listen, play. And within those things, embed my music theory. I thought I wanted to be a music theory major for many years, and I still feel the need to send my children out of my classroom literate, that they can go to middle school and they've already looked at notes. And if it's just even just a few on a staff, they can all subdivide rhythms by 2nd grade. And then they add that little bit of pitched part and they go off to middle school with a good grip on our language. And of course, again, we talked about brain plasticity. Earlier, the better to load those things in. So a variety of activities, sing, move, play, listen, music theory within those. Change states often. If they're standing, sit down. If they're sitting, lay down for something, for a listening activity. Move to a different part of the room. Turn and face a different direction. Move yourself as the instructor somewhere else in the room, or something along those lines. Changing states gives a jolt to the brain and reattends the kids, gets them to refocus. Fun and rigor. I'd like to teach slightly above the average. I want to help the lower kids come up. I don't want to bore the higher kids. So I teach slightly above the average and try and get both ends of those taken care of. Children need to know where you're going ahead of time. We have, I don't know if any of you had to do Marzano. That was quite a while back, but if I ever heard the word Marzano again, I truly wanted to barf, because this man had 52 indicators, and in came the principal with his iPad for your evaluation, and you had to show as many of the 52 indicators as you could, and the whole thing was so artificial and so, I'll say, programmed. I didn't like it. But what I did like was that we had to have learning goals projected or in view in our classroom at all times. If the principal walked in and you didn't have your learning goals showing, you got a little naughty mark and you got a little naughty email from him later in the day. So what I found out was that I'd make all these nice PowerPoints, these animated PowerPoints with my little learning goal up there, and go take the kids through it and have them say it and do these little things. And then I'd leave it up there as often as I could if I wasn't projecting. And if not, when he walked in the room, the kids could tell him the learning goal. And they knew where I was going, and I remembered where I was going. And those really worked for me. So I need to maybe in the symposium share some of my learning goal PowerPoints with you guys, because it gets the kids knowing where you want to go. And if they know that, you're going to get there quicker and more successfully. So great plan, a quick pace. Know where you're going, have your transitions planned, don't waste a minute. I only got to see my kids 26 times a year. There were 11 classes at every grade level, and there were only 6 specials teachers, PE, art, music. So we had to take a class plus parts of 5 others and rainbow them in. So it was like a dog and pony show the whole time. Let me tell you what, you needed to have a lot of techniques for managing behavior and moving quickly. And we got used to that, but I really miss the days when I got to teach 25 or 26 kids and you knew all the names of the kids in the room and such as that. A great plan with all those pieces and parts, a quick pace, preparation of materials. It sounds so simple, but boy, it's so important. Have them ready in your convenient areas. Have your distribution system ready. How are you going to give these things out? What can you put out up front before they walk in the door? Who's going to take it from the buckets at the end of the rows and pass it out if you need it later, et cetera, et cetera. Plan your transitions because that's where a lot of your misbehavior occurs. And then proximity to the problems. With the seating charts, there's some kids you wanted to keep in the back. Some kids you wanted to keep right by you. Some kids you wanted near you, but you didn't want the other kids to know that you needed that kid to be near you to save their dignity, et cetera. So a great plan, a quick pace, preparation of your materials, and proximity to the problems. Those are the 4 Ps that kind of kept me going. Wireless microphone system. You probably know that my voice is low. I know people probably wonder about me. My name is Artie and my voice is very low, but it happened in my first few years of teaching when I had to teach on a wooden stage with just a velvet curtain between me and 600 children eating lunch every day in metal chairs. And I didn't know it because nobody in college told me about nodules, but I had nodules, big ones, and had surgery to remove them, and that surgery went bad. So the bad news was, I don't have a high range and it's really hard to teach kids without that vocal model. I'd always depend on a couple of kids to be my little helper singers. The good news was I always got to stand by the men in choir at church because I could sing tenor parts. So there's the upside to that, right? Okay, so let's see. A couple other things just quick about the management tool, because I know with young teachers, they're asking me questions all the time about that. And mainly it's just getting time under your belt and having the kids know, but a good plan from the outset will help you. Separate the problems. Don't let them, I used to, let's sit by your best friend and stuff. Separate those problems because one example usually fixes it. Remove one kid and the other kids will shape up a little bit. Many children have behavior problems elsewhere, do not in music. I had kids in my ensemble who were just real problems behavior-wise at school and not in my ensemble. And if they were little things. I had children with severe problems, emotional or mental problems. They were in my ensembles and you couldn't have picked them out of the crowd. I had kids that had no English language. One of my most amazing little girls only spoke Russian. Principal comes up to me and she goes, who was that amazing, radiant singer on the top step with the long black hair? And I said, I gave the girl's name and I said, she only speaks Russian. She goes, no, I mean the one that was singing all the words. I said, yeah, that's her. She didn't know what she was singing, but she had all the words and she got it down pat. But, she didn't have a successful time in many of her classes, but she came to music and ensemble as well. So love having those children in there that people might not have thought would be successful in those groups. Okay, let's see. Talked about sweet sound of success, heavy academics. Don't worry, I'm getting close to the finish, but I feel like for the newer teachers that might be here, nobody told me these things in these concise terms, and I hope that some of these things will be helpful. Okay, let's see. Performance opportunities. These are really important to us in elementary music, and we have the advantage of being able to do a real mixed bag. We're not just a choral teacher or just a band director or just a string teacher. We really have the opportunity to let kids do so much different stuff that it guides maybe their decisions as they head towards middle and high school. You have to have administrative support, I know, to offer these music education music ensemble opportunities. And I always had that, which was good. These opportunities are life-changing for the children. I have kids, some that attended the Artie and Denise symposium last year, and they come back to me when they're 40. Pull the recorders out of their pocket and play Dorian dance. They're not going to go run back to their math teacher and do a fraction division or something. They're not going to do that. So I just love that what we do sticks forever because of the passionate nature of it. My first few years teaching, I didn't know what to do. And since I was a band chick, I followed my strength and started a 4th, 5th grade band back at that other school. And I enjoyed that. But then about my 4th or 5th year in that school, I started seeing ORF instruments and an ORF chapter was formed in Florida. And I was like, wow, this is really great. First of all, in the key of C, everybody's in the same key. What a wonderful thing. And I'd already been teaching recorder and felt comfortable with that, again in the key of C. And my kids love non-pitch percussion, which was all we had. And I thought this is something that, number one, it's a bit more developmentally appropriate. Number two, really great for all the students to be in the same key. So I wrote grants till the cows come home to gather what I needed. Orff instrumentarium, a pretty good starter, large drums, mostly tabanas and congas. And I bought all the non-pitch percussion instruments you could buy from the West Music catalog because they were cheap. I could buy buckets of them and I could have all the kids playing at the same time. Anyhow, so the Bear Lake Sound, when I got to Bear Lake, my second school, the Bear Lake Sound was born. And side note is that boys often joined ensemble for the instruments we played. They wanted to play the xylophones, they wanted to play the ukuleles, they wanted to play the drums, but they found out they loved to sing. How fun to see so many of the ensemble boys that I had joining choir in middle school. And I've got two of them majoring in vocal theater up in North Carolina. And I love to follow them. And they were boys that came for other things and found that they loved to sing. So I felt that by doing recorder, Orff instruments, drumming, non-pitch percussion, all of that stuff, that I was able to really provide to my students a pre-choir, pre-band, and a pre-keyboard experience through that. And again, I love to follow those kids. I've got a concert to go to this week for my poor seniors in the high school who are not getting to do live concerts. So I'm going to attend their concert virtually. In addition to Orff instruments in my ensemble and recorders and voices and other percussion, I always wanted some surprises, both for the students and their parents at our concerts. You know, those parents, poor things, they've worked themselves to death. And here in Florida, we have a lot of jobs that are really tough, low paid, hard jobs to do in the service industry, in the at the theme parks and such as that. And here come these parents to the concert. They want to hear their kids. They got their video camera, but they're also looking at their watch, praying that concert's not going to go on too long. So my goal was always to have them forget to look at their watch because the concert was so interesting. So I always had something I'll call off the beaten path. Plastic plate routines on stage, kickball routines done in a circle around the audience, flashlight painting on the ceiling above the audience's head, glow in the dark routines with gloves or snowflakes or cups or stick stations from the Kid Sticks book under black light. So the kids and parents always liked that one little thing, you know, that just really was shocking or surprising to the audience. And that was a fun thing that pulled them together. I usually choreographed those types of routines to either great classical pieces or something the kids really loved, like the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Let's see, who else did I use? Oh, electronic music, just tried to find things that would be new to them. I felt good that by offering this multimedia type of ensemble, I was really building a little bond and adding some surprises for the families that were there. Let's see, I thought there was something else I needed to tell you about that, but I'm going to move on because I'm almost done. Thanks for listening. I wish somebody had said these things to me 40 years ago. So I guess that my last few words of wisdom to any of the newer teachers out there, or to teachers who have taught for a long time but maybe just recently come to elementary, is to set the bar high. People think because they're little kids, we need to have little goals. Go in from the first day expecting to kick those kids' butts in a great way, a happy way, a way they'll still love you, and really help them reach the goals. Most students will reach those goals you set, and even the ones that don't reach those will be further down the road than they were when they came into your room. And they'll feel good about what they accomplished. The good news is that we are our own feeders. You know, the middle school, they have to depend on us. We don't have to worry about sending, you know, getting some kid that hates music or been ruined or whatever. We're our own feeders. Start in kindergarten or pre-K if you've got that in your school, or get out into the pre-K centers like I did near Bear Lake to go in and do music lessons there for my future little kindergartners that were coming in. Begin with the end in mind. Map out your long-range plan, forge ahead. Things will go well, things will go poorly. But I want my fifth graders to leave able to do a lot and able to really feel great about music. And to do that, you got to have a long-range plan starting in kindergarten. And if you don't meet your goals, that's okay. Back up a little bit, start again. To those of you, by the way, who've been on the front lines this year during the COVID thing, my hat is so off to you. Big virtual hugs. And I don't know how you did it. I just Zoomed, and that's a pain in the butt. And I know some of you had to Zoom and teach in the classroom, and it was just brutal. So I just really respect so much of what you had to do to keep your programs alive in a time that a lot of programs could have easily gone by the wayside. So having said that, I would love to turn it over to Mari, and you guys think about any questions you might have for me. I'll go back and look at the chat and see if there's things there that I need to address. And yeah, I hope some of that was helpful.
Really good.
Artie,
Oh.
there's only 3 questions in the chat. Do you want to just answer those real quick before we go on?
Yeah, I'll do that. And then I'll tell them what my sessions are. I forgot to do that. Let's see. Okay. What I don't see, oh, I have to scroll.
How do you, what do you do for Crazy Frog Finger Busters?
Oh gosh, that's a whole sequence of things. I can probably post that for you somewhere. And I have to have my cheat sheet to even get through it, but I've got a sequence that works really well and is pretty good order of things. So maybe in our next webinar, I can bring that and do Crazy
And
Frog.
we're doing another one with question and answers before we launch the conference. So maybe that could be July 7th.
Bring your recorder, everybody, and we'll do Crazy Frog.
Okay,
That sounds
July
good.
7th. We're
Another
gonna
one.
do frog fingers.
Okay, let me write that down. Okay, another question.
Another one that I saw, how many students do you have in your ensembles? Did you have a limit?
Oh yeah, well, you know, safety wise on the stage, we had a teeny stage, we had 6 sets of good risers with back rails. I would really advise that. Otherwise you have a heart attack every time you're in a rehearsal or in a concert. I usually ran 125 and I had to limit it to that. My baby group, I could put my third graders were my beginning ensemble, and I had about 130, 135 in there. I always did have to shut off registration. So I told the kids, register soon. Otherwise, you know, you might not get in. And then with the older kids, I limited it to 125. I shouldn't even say this out loud, but I did have to take a big teddy bear and hide the sign that showed the limit on how many kids were allowed in my room. So it was only 5 over, but I didn't want the fire marshal to walk in and bust me by counting the number of kids. And it was like sardines crammed in there for rehearsal. But you know what? Who cares? We were with fam and we were having a great time making music.
I think you answered the next one. Did you do ensembles with all your grade levels? So
Just
beginning
third,
with 3?
Yeah, 3rd grade was beginning ensemble, 4th and 5th was advanced, and everybody, same thing with my beginners. They did a lot of ORF, a lot of body percussion, recorders, recorded with recorded music, recorded with ORF accompaniments. They all played. Every kid that came into rehearsal, I know I'm so lucky to have it. I had 125, those little Doolin bells or melody bells. And if there was a time when I didn't have enough for everybody, I'd have kids share, but they came in and opened up their bell kit, got out the recorder, warmed up. And so I was doing a keyboard, a pre-keyboard and a pre-woodwind experience every ensemble rehearsal. Something else I thought about that with the babies. Did I? Oh, 2nd grade, I started the hype in 2nd grade. Oh my gosh, kids, you're going to the school concerts this Friday. You're going to see your friends in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade up there. And I can't wait to have you in my ensemble next year. And I teach them a little bit of one of the songs or something. It was really, I don't want to say shameless manipulation. I just want to say perhaps shameless motivation. Okay, that's what it was. But I never had less than my capacity. And what that means to me is those kids came to me 3 times a week instead of 1 time a week in regular music class. But you got to teach like your hair's on fire when you got those numbers. And every kid had a special part in every concert, even if it was, you know, the rhythm sticks on something or whatever. I really holding up a sign for one of the songs. Okay, I'm going to quick get out of here because I don't want to take all the time, but I'm going to just tell.
No, we got one more question. Were your rehearsals after school?
Yes. Well, beginning ensemble on 2 days a week, by the way, and this is really important. Burden on the families, burden on me. I mean, I didn't leave that building until 6:30 or 7. I don't have children of my own, which is why that was possible. I had 1,200 kids at Bear Lake, but beginning ensemble met 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the coach and the computer lady and I always worked that out. Music days were always Tuesday and Thursday. Running club was always Monday and Friday. Computer, Monday, Wednesday, Friday was always computer, or was it the other, whatever. Anyhow, my days were Tuesday, Thursday. Beginners came from 8 in the morning till 8:45. Out they went. And then advanced ensemble, they were released early from their room, 15 minutes, which is pretty miraculous considering the testing situation in Florida. They'd come to me and we'd get them all in. I had mom teams out in the hall. Everybody was checked off and those 125 kids were in and warming up in about 12 to 15 minutes. And so I had an hour with them, because it was an hour and 15-minute window. Twice a week, you can really load in the stuff. So that really works well. The more time you can get with them in your room, the better off. Get a lot of mom help though, or you will tear your hair out. And those moms were also in that room with me to monitor and keep the lid on the behavior stuff. Okay, my sessions for Artie and Denise. I think you're going to find lots of good stuff. I have about 45 lessons for you. Some videotaped. I'm going to go videotape some with my niece Katie, her students. I'm going to borrow her kids next week and shoot some of the singing fun stuff. You might know Katie. She's authored some books, poems and books with musical hooks, Book Time Bonanza, and Beginners at the Bars. And she was with us last year as one of our clinicians. Okay, my first session is Percussive Possibilities. It says, enjoy an hour of innovative percussion fun with Artie. Hand drums, large drums, non-pitch percussion, and barred instruments will be used to strengthen skills in the area of beat competency, timbre, rhythmic subdivision, and form exploration. Learn to listen, listen to learn. You know, I love guided listening. Some of you have the Schutz book, and you know how much I love to do that. These lessons will shine a spotlight on musical form in child-appealing ways while growing students' ears with a variety of diverse music. You can prop till you drop using items such as cups, plates, hoops, kickballs, scarves, parachutes, stick horses, and form wands. Moving towards mastery in kid-friendly ways. My inner music theory loving self likes my kids leave as readers. I want my kids to know what they're doing. I want them to be able to subdivide, keep a beat, blah, blah, blah. This session will help students work towards mastery in numerous aspects of music theory, including steady beat, rhythmic subdivision, staff notation, and more, and all in really different ways. Sing, sing, sing. Explore lessons that will have your children singing joyfully while addressing pitch, audiation, form, melodic direction, and intervals. Singing, moving, and pointing pages are the avenues to learning in this active clinic. Showstoppers, your students will love these exciting and unique performance pieces. Delivery models include barred instruments, recorders, body percussion, and a variety of props, including books, flashlights, snowflakes, gloves, and black light. Get ready for those standing ovations. Thanks for listening, everybody. Maria, take it away.
So Maury, you get to introduce yourself and tell us about your background and what you teach and what you're going to be doing at Artie and Denise. And how
Absolutely.
you got there. We have time for you.
All right, thank you. Welcome everybody, and I'm sure like most of you, I'm teaching all day, so good to just jump right into this. I teach in Portland, Oregon in a high poverty elementary school that goes pre-K through 5th grade. This is year 18 and the last year at this school. I'm actually going to be head of the music ed department at Portland State next year, so I'm about to have a big change. And so my kiddos are largely immigrants and or kids who have been here their whole lives, but largely in high poverty. About 95%. Our kids speak about 27 different languages. I think it's 28 recently. So it's a really multicultural school, which is, for us, it has worked out really well because you can really develop a school community and a school culture because there's no dominant culture. So that's where I've been for the last 18 years. And let's see, I thought I was just waving and saying hi, so I've been taking talking. It's okay, it's all good. So I think one of the things that I really appreciate about Artie is that high level of expectations, and it doesn't matter who your kids are, you can hit those high levels of expectations. I think there was a question in the chat about, do you do ensembles with all your grade levels? My after school group is nowhere near as big as hers. That would be like my whole school almost. And my after school has always been about 22 kids. So very different setup. Here in the Northwest, African style diatonic marimbas are a big thing. Started with Zimbabwean person that came many, many years ago. So lots of our schools have these diatonic marimbas. And so my after school group is actually a marimba band. I'm originally a percussionist, so that's a good deal for me. Still get to play a little bit of drums and percussion. But that high level that you can just push and push and push kids, if they're having fun, they will go with you as far as you will take them. You're really only limited by your own skills to a great extent. So my kids, I see them, well, prior to COVID, 40 minutes twice a week for all grade levels, except pre-K is 20 minutes twice a week. Obviously with COVID, we have all learned how to learn. So those of us who thought maybe we weren't flexible anymore, the old dogs have learned many, many, many new tricks. And I hope that we don't have to keep all of them going forward. I'd love to actually be in a classroom with human beings. Our school is now hybrid, which means nobody gets anything as far as I can tell. My room is a storage room, so I look out at all sorts of beautiful chairs that are empty of humans. So I'm still teaching online right to the end. But we've found ways, and I hope for you guys, maybe give a wave if you found a way to make it fun and engaging, maybe even a little empowering. Come on, wave at me. No one? Yes. Yes, 3, 4. It has been a really hard year in so many ways, but I don't know. I feel like it's been also so much to learn, and ways of finding kids to engage them and even empower them in their own learning has been really challenge, but a fun challenge. So in the Artie and Denise session that I'll be doing, we're going to talk about basically just how are we going to jump back into the new year with a good attitude and ready to meet the kids where they are, bearing in mind that in some parts of the country, at least, kids haven't been together for a year and a half. That's a lifetime for a child. You know, a 5-year-old doesn't even remember what school looks like. I've had kids peering in my window, which I'm required to keep my door closed to teach. So they peer in, and I've heard kids say, I don't even remember what it looks like in there anymore, which of course now it's full of, again, chairs and tables minus people. So it doesn't look like it should. But we're going to be talking about kind of what I think of as the 4 divisions of what we do in a classroom. We manage ourselves and other adults, we manage kids, we manage curriculum, and we manage all the stuff that goes with that. So what we'll be talking about is how to make routines and plans for really thriving in the classroom yourself, really starting with some self-reflection. What's gone well for you? What hasn't gone well for you? What do you want to improve on? How are you going to manage your relationships with other adults? You know, if your principal doesn't love you, how are you going to fix that? You definitely want your principal to love you. Just takes a few thoughts about how you're going to get there. Obviously, there's a few people that maybe aren't worth the time, but they're still your boss. You still got to figure it out. We're going to talk a lot about a progression of learning that you can develop over time. As Artie said, what are they going to do on day 1 of kindergarten? Or what are they going to know when they get there? Or in my case, preschool. And what do you want them to know on that last day of 5th grade as they go off, or 6th grade, whatever level you teach? How are they going to be ready for that next step? And I joke with my kids, I'm actually not a very arrogant person, but I have this big deal about my kids better be the best prepared. And I want you to walk in and they're going to know who went to Earl Boyle's, because you're going to know how to read music. You're going to know how to play instruments. You're going to know how to sing in parts. Just have had so many different experiences that when they walk into that middle school situation, they all feel really confident to be in whatever ensemble they choose to be in. So we're going to talk about that. How are you going to manage the kids in a way that is positive, is productive? And I think one shift I'm seeing over the last few years in education is going from engagement to empowerment. We'll talk a lot about how to have a classroom full that is really empowering for kids, where they have a voice, where what they think, what they hear matters. So for example, in my classroom, again, pre-COVID times, every kid has a job to do every day. They know what their jobs are. They apply for jobs just like you applied for yours. And that's their job for the quarter. It might be to turn the lights on and off, but I don't tell them when to do it. They might just decide, you know, it's getting a little hyped up in here, we're going to turn the lights off. Or maybe I have a kid that runs the computer, or I have kids that choose the warm-ups every day and they stand in front of the risers and they listen to what the kids are doing and they comment on, they give the feedback. You know, I noticed this side, a lot of people aren't singing, and I noticed on this side, maybe a couple people are shouting, or the vowels aren't the same, you know, really getting down into hearing as musicians and not as kids. So we're going to talk a lot about that. We'll talk about how to create your curriculum, again, looking at that progression of learning from the beginning to the end. And then just managing the stuff, just the details of all the different things that you're going to have in your classroom. And if you don't have any things in your classroom, how to fix that, again, through grant writing and things like that, so that the kids have every opportunity possible. I'm a big believer that our job is to find, or not us to find, but for every child to find their own musical path. So my kids do a combination of individual learning, such as on recorders. They might all be practicing their own thing, and ensemble learning where we're all playing together. We'll do some drumming, we'll do some singing, ukuleles, electronic music composition, so that by the end of 5th grade, kids have had so many different various experiences that they have found the one that speaks to them. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Everything I do is super hands-on. I don't do theory as a separate thing. It's always embedded with what we're doing. But like Artie, I really want my kids to be musically literate, but also to really develop their all training. So, sorry, that's not a good word for me. Aural training, all those R's and L's, so that they not only can be in band, orchestra, choir, but maybe they could be in a rock band. They could start their own group. They can sing on the street corner if that's what they want to do. Sorry, my dogs are running around behind me. I'm trying to ignore them. It's their playtime. And there they go. They're really quiet till after school, and then something happens. I don't know what it is. So I think that's the gist of it. That's the plan. I don't know. I haven't been tracking the chat at all.
I don't see any questions, Maury, but I will comment also that I have read your book. And as somebody who's been delving into curriculum a lot for the past 25 years, I thought I'd seen everything, but your approach is so simple. It just makes so much sense. There was some really, really good hints that I got from the book. I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to your formal presentation as part of the symposium.
Well, thank you so much. That's very kind. And
there was one question here that I think all three of us should try and answer, and that is, what are some good 5th grade end of year activities? So I might actually just pop my screen open and see if I can do this without leaving the meeting by accident, as I did today earlier. Okay,
we've all
and
done
I'm going to go to beta. Hopefully you see beta and Musicplay online. And I'm going to go to learning modules, and I'm going to go to general. And in here is a module with no touch singing games. This, Carrie Lynn, is why we need more module titles, because I can't find what I'm looking for. Let's see, where is it? I've probably gone past it 6 times. Here we go, no touch games. So whether you can sing or not sing, these games are going to be really fun. And so we have instructions for the games, and then we have demos, and you'll see actually some really neat demos outside with our staff and some guests. So for grade 5, 6 kids, those are great. And what I do in the learning modules, let's look at grade 5, end of the year lessons, and I've put them in June because in Canada, school goes until the end of June. So June week 1, 2, and 3 are campfire songs. So these go back to songs from earlier in the year, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Oh My Darling Frankenstein. If you don't know that, it's a really profound song. And the objective is simply to learn some songs that you would do around a campfire. Another thing that I really like to do at the end of the year, and I'm going to stop the share, I like to do request and review. And it's just basically request. The kids come into class, 1 or 2 classes before the end of the year, and I go, okay, everybody, I want you to think about what your favorite thing was that you did this year. And we make this big chart full of ideas from each grade. Some grades will come up with 25 things that we won't possibly have time to do. And then the kids vote on them. And we actually repeat activities from earlier in the year. And I have found that was always my end of the year, that and the talent show. And this year you probably won't get to do a talent show. But that's my 3: campfire songs, request and review, and no touch games. Kids love going outside and playing games outside. So other ideas from Maury and Artie for grade 5 and 6 kids?
I have lots of ideas, but I don't know if anybody has the resources to do them. But my kids love takeaway songs, The Horse Went Around, and elimination of the words, audiation songs, I guess I should call it. Sevens, and there's all the different transfers you can do for sevens. Crazy eights. Oh, I've got like 4 variations on crazy eights. With the last one, I tried this with a group I was subbing with, being movements, 8 kids in movement groups, which was really fun. The kids came up with a neat things. Betty Botter, that Doug Goodkin piece that he allowed me to share last year, that is fantastic. Non-pitch percussion or found sounds imaginable. What was the one I did when I was Zooming? Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. If you're still teaching remotely, all you need the kids to have are 2 spoons and 4 different sizes of Tupperware bowls or something, and they can do your quadraboom on there. They can do Crazy Eights. They can do Alexander book. That was one that people said they had great success with their kids with when they were remote. Anything Mallet Madness will get you through the end of the year with, you know, kids not wanting to leave your room. Drum games, but again, you know, they're all in the percussion parade book. But they love instruments. I always went out with the end of the year with a lot of instrument playing and a lot of movement and a lot of loud entrance and exit music, a little free dance at the beginning to get the wiggles out. And yeah, so for me, I guess it would have to be stuff that I'd have to have the materials ready to show to you. Maybe we should, I guess it'll be too late to do that on the 7th. Is that what we talked about? Yeah. Our schools go out by then.
For me, it's similar to both of those. Keep super busy. I actually have my kids in 5th grade, 6th grade. I go through 5th grade, but starting in 4th grade, they can choose anything from preschool on. And there is nothing better for an 11-year-old than to do a 3-year-old song. They love it. Baby Bumblebee, all the little old stuff. They love doing it. And it's absolutely adorable to watch these people who are now taller than me. It's not very hard to be taller than me, but still, you know, doing these little kid stuff, being tortoises for the Carnival of the Animals or whatever, anything they want. We just let them go. An escape room. I have tried to do escape rooms online and I have failed at it, but if anybody knows how and not to fail, I'd love that. With my older kids, and this is too late in the year probably for that, depending on how much time you have left, but every class votes on a class song, which is usually a pop song, but it has to have some meaning for them. It has to have, so first we talk about like, who are they as a community? Then they choose a song. So like, don't give up on me, count on me, lean on me. What else have they got right now? See you again, I think. So then I kind of use that as the context for lots of different things. And they're so engaged with it because they chose the song. So for example, well, if you haven't used Chrome Music Lab, it is my best friend right now, that and Incredibox.
Oh, I love Incredibox.
I know, right? And the kids, they one up each other every time we go on it.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's something that the teachers just said, what can we do at the end of the year? That is a winner, and you don't need any supplies.
Right, and every kid has access to
devices. So
yeah,
they do need devices, but everybody has devices now. That's a new thing.
Nope.
Our school districts had to take
not everybody.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, the kids that are online learning have their devices at home, but for sure in our Canadian schools, it's not one-to-one devices for every class.
Right. Welcome to not being subjected to constant COVID. Yeah. So in Chrome Music Lab, like we've taken those songs that each group assigns, and actually, we still have 7 weeks left. So if you're like me, there's plenty of time to kind of get into this. But we write drum patterns where it goes like pattern, 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 fill. That right there takes us forever. Add a bass line on top of that. Add harmony to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. No devices in preschool. Yeah, I wouldn't do devices in preschool, but with the bigger kids. So just, talking about having that specific song. They sing the song, they learn to play it on ukulele if you're in the classroom. So are we frozen?
No,
I guess not.
You're good.
You're frozen for a second, but I think it was just my computer, not everybody.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So I think, and then drumming. If you don't have the Kalani books, Amazing Gymnasium is just full of drum games. So the kids are getting great content, but it's also super community building. I've heard of Incredibox. Could you explain a little? Yeah, there's 7 half-naked guys, which some people get a little bothered by, but they put their clothes on real quick and nothing below the belt. So they come, you can choose different, I don't know how to put it. You can choose different loops, let's say. It's really just a DAW,
Right.
but it's all graphic. So the kids can see these different characters, and, you know, the guy with the certain hat makes a certain sound. And then they can layer them in. And if you get the app on your phone, which even though my kids are poor, a lot of them have convinced their parents to spend, I think it's $3 on their phone. It allows you to create an ABA forms, and it's really visual. So they hear and see the loops. They can take them in and out any time, any order. The only thing about it is they will send you a million emails, because they all know how to email now, with all their loops, and you think you're going to bed and your computer is just boom, 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 lighting up with all their emails. Listen to my thing.
You turn notifications off at 10.
I do actually, but then I wake up to it. So
Yeah.
half the versions are free.
Well,
Yeah.
I think this was a great day. Thank you so much, Mari. I know I think I miscommunicated the date to Mari, and so she was leaving school and had to rush to get on. And Artie, it's always good to visit with you in a crowd or one-on-one. I'm going to go home and raise a glass to you tonight.
Well, John is putting the barbecue chicken, the Italian romaine lettuce, and some pineapple skewers on the grill right now.
Love.
Denise,
Love.
I'm way ahead of you when raising that glass.
Well, you are 2 hours ahead of us too, so I'm still in my office.
Yeah, we're going to
But,
grill and chill.
Yeah, no, I
Nice
am.
to talk to you, everybody.
So nice of everybody to come and join us. Thank you very much. We hope to see lots of you at the symposium July 11th, 14th to 16th. July 14th to 16th. I'll get the dates right, Mari.
All right, Susan Altman, if you email me, I'll answer that question. Here, I'll just put my
Stephanie
email.
Menifee, come on down, party at Artie's.
All right, there's my email. You can email me and I'll happily answer that question or any other questions.
Thanks,
Or
everybody.
listen to your
Thanks, everybody.
Incredibox.
Really
Thank
appreciate y'all
you.
coming.
Thank you.